Most people think the only way to fix high blood sugar is to eat less. Less bread, less rice, less pasta, less of everything. But that's not actually how your blood sugar works, and in a moment, I'll show you why. I want you to picture something for a second. Picture checking your blood sugar first thing in the morning, seeing a number that worries you, and feeling like your own body has turned against you. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know something right away. This is not about willpower, and it's not something you did wrong. Your blood sugar responds to signals, and once you understand what those signals are, you get to start sending better ones. That's really the whole idea behind this video, and by the end, you're going to understand your own body a lot better than you do right now. Before we get into it, if you're the kind of person who likes learning the real reasons behind things, not just a list of do's and don'ts, go ahead and hit subscribe now, because that's exactly what this channel is built around. And I'd really encourage you to stay with me until the end, because the foods that give you the fastest results and the ones that create lasting change are actually two different categories, and I don't want you to miss the second half. Let's start with something you probably already have in your kitchen, and that's vinegar. Here's what's interesting about it. When you eat carbohydrates, your body uses an enzyme to break down that starch into sugar. Vinegar's acetic acid actually slows that enzyme down a little, so the sugar hits your bloodstream more gradually instead of all at once. Think of it like a dam that gently controls a river's flow instead of letting it flood downstream. Researchers pooling together dozens of clinical trials found that regular vinegar use lowered long-term blood sugar markers by nearly a full percentage point, which is a meaningful shift. In practice, a tablespoon diluted in a full glass of water, sipped before a carb-heavy meal, is the amount most studies have actually tested. And a quick note, sipping vinegar through a straw protects your tooth enamel since it is acidic. I think about a patient of mine, a retired teacher who came to me convinced she just needed more discipline. She was already skipping bread at dinner and still seeing numbers that worried her every morning. What actually helped her wasn't cutting more. It was adding the right things at the right time, which is exactly what we're about to walk through together. And before we move on, if you've made it this far, go ahead and subscribe because we're about 3 minutes in and the foods coming up next are the ones that surprise most people the most. Next is a food most people have never cooked with, fenugreek seeds. Inside these small seeds is a rare compound that nudges your pancreas to release insulin specifically when your blood sugar is elevated, not all the time, just when it's actually needed. That's an important distinction because it means fenugreek works with your body's own timing instead of overriding it. Fenugreek also contains a special fiber that forms a gel in your stomach, which slows down how fast sugar enters your blood after a meal. A large review of 19 clinical trials found meaningful improvements in long-term blood sugar control with regular fenugreek use. If you want to try it, soaking a teaspoon of seeds overnight and having the water and seeds in the morning is the traditional approach. But start small, since fenugreek can be strong on the stomach if you go too fast. Now here's something worth pausing on for a second. Every single one of these foods works through a completely different pathway in your body. Vinegar slows digestion, fenugreek supports your pancreas. And that's actually the whole secret here, because your blood sugar isn't controlled by one switch, it's controlled by several. So real progress comes from layering a few of these together, not searching for one miracle food. Extra virgin olive oil is another kitchen staple worth talking about. The polyphenols in good quality olive oil do two things at once. They calm inflammation, which is one of the hidden drivers of insulin resistance, and they slow how quickly your stomach empties after a meal, so your blood sugar rises more gently. In one of the largest nutrition trials ever conducted, people who added extra virgin olive oil to their diet were significantly less likely to develop type 2 diabetes over several years, and this happened without cutting calories or adding exercise. The detail that matters here is quality. Look for a dark bottle with a harvest date and use it uncooked when you can, drizzled over a finished dish rather than heated at high temperatures. If you're finding this helpful so far, this is a good moment to hit that subscribe button because we're only halfway through and the foods coming up are the ones that create change that actually lasts for years, not just days. Getting enough protein and eating it earlier in the day plays a bigger role here than most people realize. Studies using brain imaging have actually shown that a high protein breakfast breakfast quiets the reward centers in your brain that drive snacking later in the day. I know protein needs vary quite a bit from person to person, so rather than give you one number that may not fit your situation, I'd simply encourage you to make sure protein shows up at your first meal, not just your last one. Green tea deserves a mention too, mostly because of a compound called EGCG, which helps your cells respond to insulin more effectively and calms inflammation at the same time. The improvements from green tea alone tend to be modest, but it stacks nicely with everything else we've talked about. One honest caution here, I always recommend the actual brewed tea rather than concentrated extracts or supplements, since high-dose EGCG supplements have been linked to liver strain in some cases. 2 to 3 cups of brewed tea a day is a reasonable, well-studied amount for most healthy adults. Cinnamon is another one worth knowing about, specifically Ceylon cinnamon rather than the more common cassia variety, since cassia contains a compound that can stress the liver at higher doses. A large analysis of nearly 30 clinical trials found that cinnamon meaningfully lowered blood sugar spikes after meals. Just a pinch stirred into oatmeal or coffee, roughly a gram or 2 a day, is the amount most of these studies actually used, and there's no benefit to going higher. And finally, fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel deserve real credit, even though their benefit shows up more slowly. Their omega-3 content works quietly in the background, reducing inflammation and helping your body let go of the visceral fat that sits around your organs, which is one of the biggest hidden contributors to insulin resistance over time. If fish isn't something you eat, chia seeds or ground flaxseed are reasonable plant-based alternatives, though your body converts their omega-3s less efficiently. So it's worth discussing with your doctor whether an algae-based supplement makes sense for you. So here's what I really want you to walk away with. None of these foods are a magic fix on their own, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I told you otherwise. But layered together, even just 2 or 3 that fit naturally into your life, they send your body a completely different set of signals. And unlike restriction, which eventually hits a wall, this approach keeps working the more consistent you are with it. If this video helped you understand your own body a little better today, that's exactly what this channel is here for. And I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and stay close for the next one, because we're going to keep building on exactly this kind of practical, evidence-based understanding, one video at a time. Stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.